Hello everyone! To finish the series about our words being in place of the sacrificial work, I thought I would be remiss if I wouldn't mention what we say in the Siddur at the very height of the words that supplement the sacrificial work, namely Musaf. On every single Shabbos, we say, you commanded us in the Torah to bring korbanot, and therefore Yehi Ratzon Milfanecha, may it be your will, God, that we come back to the Beis HaMikdash, V'sham na'aseh lefanecha et korbanot chovotenu, and there we will bring korbanot. On Yantiv, where it wasn't just a communal korban, as it was on Shabbos, but rather there were personal korbanot that we were obligated to bring on each and every Yantiv, 3 in number. And Olat Re'iyah, Shalmei Chagiga, Shalmei Simcha. It's even more pronounced. We start saying that it's because of our sins that we no longer have a Beis HaMikdash. And once again we say, bring us back to the Beis HaMikdash, V'sham, and there, we will do these korbanot. And at least according to the Ashkenazic custom, in both cases, you actually quote the verses that command us to do the korbanot, making a very clear statement that this is not just what was, but this is what we hope will be. However, throughout the generations, there were voices within the Jewish people that came and said this is very primitive, that all the korbanot that we read about in the Torah they were primitive people, this is the way they served God. But we're postmodern Jews, and when the Beit HaMikdash will be rebuilt, God willing, we will not bring korbanot. And I'd like to quote to you one of such examples, because just looking at it without knowing the source would make you think maybe this is a nice alternative way to daven Musaf. And allow me to quote it to you verbatim. And I'd like to thank my dear friend Rav Pini Duner, a great Talmud Chacham, the rabbi of the Young Israel of North Beverly Hills, and a historian on the side, who is also a prolific author, who brought to my attention the following words. The Moshe Tzevita Bahar Sinai Mitzvat Shabbat Zachor V'Shamor, you commanded Moshe both the positive and negative commandments at Sinai. Uvot Tzivitanu Hashem Elokeinu L'akriv b'korban Musaf Shabbat Karawoy, and there you commanded us, God, to bring a korban as an addition to the regular sacrifices on Shabbos. Uvechen Yeratzon B'fanecha Hashem Elokeinu V'Elokei Avoteinu, and therefore may it be your will, God, shetekabel berachamim uveratzon, please accept areshet tzifatenu bimkom korbanot chovotenu, the words of our lips in place of the obligatory sacrifices. On the surface, this sounds beautiful. We use the words, may you accept it. We acknowledge there's an absolute commandment in the Torah, with one little difference. Instead of saying we will go back and we will yet bring it, we say, accept our words in place of the korbanot, not hoping we'll ever go back to it. On Yantiv, it starts out the same way. You all know it. And then it says the following. Not that we go back to bringing the korbanot, but rather, may you accept, God, the words of our lips in place of the korbanot. This is indeed an absolute outrage, because you are saying that the state in which we live today, no temple, should continue. Or maybe there should be a temple, but without sacrifices. Where does this come from? It comes from a siddur, printed in Hamburg for the Hamburg Temple, published in 1819. You could see the exact quote of the name of the siddur in German. In Hebrew, it was called Seder HaAvodah, no more, no less, Avodah, connoting sacrificial work, Shabbatot HaShana, Moedei Hashem, Mikroi Kodesh, and it says it beautifully. Rabbi Pini Duner pointed out that doesn't even open from right to left, it opens from left to right to eternalize living in Germany. And these are the words that were written inside. I don't know why God commanded us sacrifices. When the editorial board of the Torah sat, I wasn't part of it. But God did. God also said the Torah was eternal. To go ahead and to make a statement that what we're living in today is not an as-if world, but it's the real McCoy, and we should get used to it and not daven for it to get better, is an absolute epitome of what the Mishnah and Avot warns us, HaMegaleh Panim BaTorah Shelo Kahalacha. In a word, as the Meiri explains, V'lo hayta kavanat Hashem elav b'klal. This is not what God said. Namely, you take the prohibition, say, of pig, and you say that it's just a mashal, a parable. It's just an example. It doesn't really mean you can't eat pig. Indeed, the Darkei Moshe, the Ramah, dealt with this. He's a rabbi in Krakow, and he says, if there's a chazan, she'eino rotzeh litatef batzitzit, he doesn't want to wear a talis. Ve'omer, and he even says that when it says in the Shema, "Uveitem oto u'zechartem kol mitzvot Hashem va'asitem, u'misheino oseh kol hamitzvot lo yitatef batzitzit, modi'im lo sheta'ah beperush hamikra." Namely, he says that you only wear tzitzis if you do all the mitzvot of the Torah. I don't do all the mitzvot for whatever reason. There's no Beis Hamikdash, or say the laws of purity and impurity, therefore I don't have to wear tzitzis. You gotta tell him, says the Rama, that he's wrong, that that's not what the pasuk means. V'im lo chazar, and he still is adamant about his point of view. Kivan sheme'is legalot panim b'torah shelo ka'halacha, ma'avirim oto. Because he distorts the Torah, you make sure he's not chazan. Sacrifices is something that will be part and parcel of the future temple. And even though it's hard for us to imagine, and even though it's hard for us to portray, you cannot change the Torah and say, what we have today is perfect. What we have today is partial, is imperfect. And that's part and parcel of why we're mourning, because we want to get back to the ideal.